Hello. As the holidays approach and the year draws to a close, many of us remember the moments that mattered most. Helping a neighbor, supporting a local cause, or simply giving back in a way that feels meaningful. Year-end charitable giving is an opportunity to extend that impact. Welcome to this episode of Financial Perspectives. My name is Gretchen Muller, and I serve as the Director of Communications at Foster Group. Today, I'm joined by one of our senior lead advisors, Ashlee Vieregger. Ashlee joins us with a wealth of experience helping clients turn their generosity into thoughtful, effective giving. Thanks, Ashlee, for coming. Appreciate having you here today.
It's great to be here, Gretchen. We're going to have a fun conversation.
Yeah. So you recently wrote an article entitled The 5 Generosity Languages, and it's a nod to the famous book, The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. Can you talk to us a little bit about why are you so passionate about this topic and what are the different generosity languages?
You bet. I have to say I was inspired when I put this piece together because we've all read that book and we've all learned about ways that we can express love for a family member or a friend or a significant other. And I thought, what about charities? They need love too. So I was, of course, motivated to put a few generosity languages together that really talk about those organizations that are near and dear to our heart. Of course, money and volunteer time are the big ones. Those are the ones that get all the airtime. But we have a couple of other generosity languages that should not be ignored or neglected. And one of those is really the skills that a person may bring from their professional career. Because let's face it, a lot of the charities that we know and love, they probably couldn't afford to pay us our hourly rate if they were to hire us.
Yeah.
And so if we can give that skill to organizations that we care about for free, that is such a benefit to an organization that would love to have our skill and expertise. And then there's also influence or networks. So a lot of us have community relationships. We know people who could be generous or could become involved. And if we can spread the word about the causes that we care about, maybe we can help those organizations that we love identify a new board member or a committee chair or someone who could help with a new capital campaign. We can build that network effect and get more people that may want to get involved with those causes into the fold. And then, of course, there's also testimonials and words. So when we talk about the charities that we like in a variety of personal and professional settings, maybe someone hasn't heard of the organization that we care about. What a great way to build curiosity and engagement and help those folks learn more about some group or organizations who are doing great work in our community.
Yeah, and there's just so many great ways to get involved, so many good organizations and causes out there to support.
Could not agree more. I think bringing those languages of generosity to the forefront is like, well, what are the ones that resonate with me and which ones do I have capacity to give these causes that I care the most about?
Yeah. And I know you like to encourage your clients to take a proactive approach to their generosity. And so here we are toward the end of this year, a couple of weeks left. What could they focus on still this year? And then as we roll into next year, how can they be intentional about, setting up their charitable giving strategy for 2026?
You bet. It's a very unique time of year with just a few weeks left in 2025 and then a whole brand new slate, a clean slate ahead of us in 2026. Good news, charitable folks, it is not too late to make a gift to the cause that you care about most. And the nice thing about the timeline for a lot of charities is that unlike individuals who are January to December taxpayers, many organizations are July to June taxpayers. So whether the charity receives your gift in December or January, it's still going to have an impact most likely in this fiscal year. So that gives us opportunity, even if we're a little late to the game and aren't quite getting those things wrapped up by December 31st. But then I think as we approach a new year, that brings a lot of just opportunity for reflection and for introspection. What went well? What did we enjoy doing charitably this year? What did we want to do different next time around? What have we never thought about that would be possible? This time of year is a perfect season to really start making those plans, to bring on 2026 with intention and proactivity rather than, well, these people asked me to make a gift on December 15th, so I did. A wonderful way to be generous, but maybe not the most proactive approach. So plenty for clients to focus on in the coming weeks.
Yeah, that moment of sort of reflection to figure out what matters to you and what do you want to support is so important. Right?
I totally agree. And it's very natural for giving intentions to change over time, right? As one group finishes up their capital campaign, someone else is going to be launching a new project. So what we did last year is not a perfect carbon copy for what we will do next year. And so I really like that opportunity to look at it fresh each and every year.
Yeah. And then thoughtful and effective financial strategy, goes hand in hand with tax strategy. And you already alluded to the calendar effect, being different for the charities. Can you just talk a little bit about, donor-advised funds? I know you've guided a lot of your clients through the process of setting these up. How does it benefit the client? And then how does it benefit the client's charities that they're trying to support?
You bet. Donor advised funds are a really fantastic tool for generous individuals. And what they do is that they allow people who already want to be making gifts, who are philanthropic in nature, what they allow the donor to do is really to schedule the benefit from an income tax perspective on their timetable. So if I happen to have a big income tax year, maybe I've sold a business or I've realized significant capital gains or I've received a big bonus or other form of incentive comp. Well, if I'm having a high income year, then my charitable deduction is going to be the most valuable to me in that year. So donor advised fund allows us to match up those two timetables. We're making a contribution in the year where it's going to be the most beneficial to us. But then the nice thing about it is that we can give funds and grants away from the donor fund on our own timetable. We're not required to give money out by December that we put in the beginning of 2025. It is a bit of a misnomer because a lot of folks think that if I put it in January or February, it's got to go right back out the door by December. Time out, stop, do not pass go, do not collect $200. You are able to make gifts on your timetable, which is incredibly valuable to the donor. And then for the charities do best when they receive cash gifts because let's be frank, a lot of those organizations that are near and dear to us, they're not really in the business of buying and selling stocks and bonds and mutual funds and ETFs. So even when we give them those things, it's a very generous and commendable activity. It's adding a bit of a step in administration for that group to do something that's not really within their core competence and liquidate those positions so that then they could get the cash that they need to fund their operating project or to contribute to that capital effort. So with using a donor advised fund, you've got the tax benefits scheduled on your timetable, you've got the distributions coming out when you want them, and your charity is getting the vehicle of gift that it can use most and quickest, which is cash.
Yeah. It is really helpful when they don't have to take that on. Do you have examples in working with clients of how this has actually been put in play that you could share just to bring it to life a little bit?
Yes, you bet. I think there's a couple of interesting approaches that client families can take when they're using a donor advised fund. Maybe they're new to this kind of vehicle. There are some folks that we work with who treat their donor advised fund like it's a river. So dollars and assets go in the earlier parts of the year and they're granted out, they're given out to those charities of choice, usually in that same year. And then we start the cycle anew. We fund it and we grant it out and it's moving from top to bottom in a constant state of refilling or replenishment. And that works great. But then I also have clients who take more of a lake approach. They're wanting to stockpile contributions into their donor fund to be invested and to have the opportunity to grow and appreciate and value over time, potentially to magnify or increase that possible future charitable outcome or impact.
Yeah.
So some folks would say, I have 10 years until my retirement. I'm going to make lots of contributions now while I'm working and I'm receiving the benefits for those. But I'm not going to use all of them today. I'm really going to set them up so that I have a pool that I can go to when I'm in retirement to use from. Frequently, it's a little bit of both. It's a river and a lake combo for a lot of the clients that we work with. And every person's situation, of course, is different depending on their goals and their income and their deductions and so forth. But it's fun to think about all of the different ways that it could be used.
I'm sure you appreciate the flexibility of this option as an advisor.
Oh,
right?
no question. It makes an already exciting and just really meaningful client activity that we do with the folks that we work with that much easier, effective, administratively simple.
Yeah. And I know you work closely with families that want to leave a legacy of generosity and pass it on from one generation to the next, to their children, to their grandchildren. What kind of advice do you offer these families when you're talking about this topic?
Well, for a lot of families, understandably, money is a difficult topic to talk about. A lot of us weren't raised having frequent money conversations with our parents or our grandparents. It was more implicit than explicit in terms of what we learned and what we talked about. So when I'm bringing clients to the table for the first time and encouraging them to have a money dialogue with their extended family, their kids, their grandkids, other relations, a lot of times we'll recommend that they start with philanthropy because it's an easy way to talk about money without talking about money, because we all want to be generous. We all want to benefit the causes that we care about and support. And so when we bring that topic as the forefront of the conversation, we can really drive engagement and enthusiasm without it feeling scary or awkward or, ooh, that was painful. It's happy to talk about giving. So when we use donor advised funds in this context, what we can do is say, well, maybe we get our kids involved in deciding, I funded my River donor advised fund with $20,000. Maybe I'll let each of my kids pick a charity and they'll receive $500 or $1,000 out of my fund. Use whatever numbers work for your family. But by getting them involved earlier and familiar with the donor advised fund concept, you're really having that money and finances and financial acumen conversation in a way that feels very fun and approachable and dynamic and engaging. It's sort of like, you know, those recipes when moms hide vegetables into their macaroni and cheese. It's like that.
Ashlee, I love your passion and enthusiasm for this topic. Where can our listeners find more information?
If you're hungry for more, we have a wealth of information, videos, blog posts. This is just scratching the surface. There's so much more on this topic.
Great. Well, then we will provide links to that for our listeners and they can get more information. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. This is a fun conversation.
Absolutely. As we wrap up, we want to remind you that year-end charitable giving is about more than just financial planning. It's about making meaningful impact and aligning your giving with what matters most to you. With the right guidance and a little forward thinking, your generosity can benefit both the causes you care about and your own financial goals. If you have other topics you'd like to see us address, please let us know at our website, fostergrp.com. And also, if you're enjoying our podcast, would you consider giving us a like on your app and share with your friends? This has been such an interesting topic to explore because doing well in order to do good is part of our DNA at Foster Group. Thanks for joining us.